Hello everyone, this is Reggie, the appliance washer and dryer repair nerd, with another video on a Maytag Performa dryer. We're in the shop today, so just going live with this video. Now, the issue with this was a dryer I had got back from a customer on exchange. They purchased a new one from me. So we got this back on exchange, and the customer said that the dryer will not heat. So, if you have a Maytag Performa, I believe only Maytag, maybe Admiral comes in this design. So the first thing you want to do is obviously run it. First thing I do when I get into the shop. And see if it gets hot. Now, with these, what you want to do is, there are two tabs right in front, here and here. So you want to take a screwdriver, press in the tabs. I already kind of did this. I got to hold the camera with one hand here. You want to go ahead and press in the tabs with the screwdriver and pull up on the top. And when you pull up on the top, she'll be running. And that's everything you need is right there in the back. This is so wonderful. So, this is like one of the easiest fixes to do. So basically, I was running. You want to check to make sure you have it on a heat setting, so it's on time dry. Because if it's on damp dry or wrinkle release, those are non-heat settings. So beware of that. Or if you see wrinkle control, extended wrinkle out, those are non-heat settings. And the temperature, always make sure that's not on fluff air. Fluff air is a non-heat setting. Made that mistake a couple times. Tear a dryer apart and you realize it's on fluff air. Excuse the camera work here. On a one-handed bandit here. So, if you see the heat element, that should be glowing red right now. That should be a glowing red heat element, and it's not. So, what we're going to do now is stop the dryer. You either open the door or put it directly in off position. Remember, safety first. Unplug your dryer. Pop your top up. Again, apologize for the camera work. Kind of one-handed bandit here. Okay, so there are three main components. Now, if you look in the description on this video, there's a link below that will have a dryer tune-up kit for your Maytag Performa dryer. It includes this heating element. This is your thermostat, and there's a thermal cutoff, which is not included. It's not really necessary to change out, and it's kind of a pain to get to, but that only is triggered if there's an overheating issue. And the symptom of that is if your dryer will not turn on at all. It's that thermal cutoff, which those white wires are connected to. And I'll show you how to get to that. So first thing you want to do is take a 1/4 inch nut driver, remove this screw, and then next we're going to remove this other screw, which will take apart the heating element. So what this fuse does is it senses the temperature coming from the heating element, and it regulates it. So basically, once it hits 144 degrees Celsius, it stays on, excuse me, and then once it hits about 190 degrees Celsius, it deactivates, and it stays within that range. So first thing we want to do, so we remove this, get your voltmeter. If you don't have a voltmeter, just get the kit and just replace everything. If this was a repair, you basically just repair what's broke. You don't really gut stuff out. But if you're doing this in your own personal dryer, it's worth the extra money, especially if you're saving from doing it on your own. So just go ahead and put everything new in it so you don't have to mess with it anymore. So we're going to check for continuity. So put our meter on ohms. You touch your leads. I don't know if you can hear that noise. That means we have continuity. Sometimes I recommend you remove one of the leads because it might circle, but I know these you don't really have to. And this should always have continuity. And I have another video that I had a link to that will show you how to test this with a lighter because it needs heat to disengage. So this fuse should always be have continuity, and you put a lighter to the bottom of it, it'll click and it will break the connection. You should have no continuity, and that kind of represents the heat range that it is supposed to maintain. Now I'm touching the sides of this, and there is no continuity at all. So the issue here is this thermostat. So it's a bad thermostat. So basically what's happening is there's no continuity, so it's breaking the connection between these two wires. And that connection, one of the ends of this connection goes to the heating element. And so since there's not allowing power to the heating element, we have no heat. So this is the bad part. But we're going to go ahead and take the rest apart just to show you, especially as almost a tutorial for your dryer tune-up kit. So if you want to remove this screw, this is so easy. I mean, you might as well just go ahead. If you're in there, you might as well go ahead and replace everything and move on in life. Because heat elements generally last, I would say, anywhere from 8 to 15 years. Depends on not just the usage, but the airflow. You always want to make sure you have good airflow so all the moisture and heat can actually leave the dryer. But there's restrictions that's going to keep moisture in there, and then you have that heat hitting those coils, and they break a lot faster. So what we're going to do is just remove it. Now you have this end it's poked into that little hole. So you kind of just lift up and pull out. And that's the heating element. And you just inspect it. This one is good. So I'm not going to replace it. But you do want to do that if it's your own personal dryer. And I mean, it's unnecessary. But if you wanted to be sure that you don't want to have to do this again, we know things happens in pairs, so you're going to replace the fuse, and next week you never know, your heat limit might go out on you. This is that high limit thermostat I was telling you about. What this does is this is their fire preventer. So if the dryer ends up overheating, or sometimes that heating element can ground out against the frame or something and stay on way too long. So, or actually in this case, this fuse broke in the open position, so it doesn't allow any heat. But also it can break in the continuity position where the element stays on and never goes off. And so it gets up to 250 degrees Celsius without turning off, and that would be a bad thing. So this is your high limit. So you really don't have to change this if your dryer comes on. I would recommend changing it if your dryer is not coming on, because this is probably most likely the culprit. But this is the cold and not the cough. So if this is triggered, most likely your heat element can break. So if your heat element broke and it's touching that metal, so as you see, there's not a lot of room for the element in there anyway. So if it breaks and touches that metal, it completes the connection, your heat element will stay on. All right, so again, you purchased my my dryer tune-up kit for Maytag Performa. It's attached to my website. What we're gonna do, probably don't need to film this part, but basically just take this off, you remove the leads, and you put on we're gonna put on a new thermostat. Any questions, leave a comment below. And again, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe.